The principle of growth is cosmic and universal. You may see this marvelous principle of growth manifesting itself daily in flowers, in all vegetation and animals and human beings. The seed of a tree has been known to overcome all obstacles, even to break through a rock in order to become a tree. In like manner, you are here to overcome, to rise above all obstacles, to transcend, to grow, and to rejoice in it. You are here to master all problems, to solve all difficulties, and to experience joy, happiness, and victorious living. You are here to become mentally and spiritually aware of your transcendental powers, which enable you to overcome any challenges and experience the joy, satisfaction, and thrill of victory. The minute you acknowledge the cosmic power within you and accept your responsibility for your environmental conditions, you will begin to gain control over conditions, and your thinking will begin to make itself felt. It would be a very dull and insipid life for you if the crossword puzzle were all made out for you, and all you had to do was to insert X, Y, and Z. No, the joy is in solving the crossword puzzle. This is the way you discover the divinity within which shapes your destiny. How Cosmic Mind Helped Sell Real Estate. Some months ago I interviewed a man who had great difficulty in selling his property and home, as he said, because of the tight money and high interest rates on bank loans. During the interview I said to him, "There's an age-old truth which says, what you are seeking is seeking you." The mere fact that you want to sell your property and home indicates that somewhere there is someone who wants to buy it. I then said to him, "Let us both pray about the matter and agree mentally that it is sold to the right buyer who wants the property, who appreciates it, and who prospers in it." Accordingly, both of us stilled our minds, relaxed mentally and physically, and focused our attention on the sale of the home. I said audibly, "Let us now agree that the cosmic mind knows where the right buyer is, and that the infinite intelligence within that mind knows where the buyer is. And it is now this moment in action bringing both of you together. Both of us decree that the price is right, the time is right, and the buyer is right. We agree that the property and the home are now sold in the cosmic mind of God, as buying and selling represent an exchange of ideas in the mind of man. We decree that it is so, and we accept it completely in our minds right now." This was our prayer, to which he agreed completely. The sequel to this prayer is very interesting. When he went to sleep that night, in a dream he saw a man who gave him a check for the full value of the property. In his dream he said to the man, "Are you paying in full for the whole thing?" And the man said yes. Then he awakened and intuitively knew that his property was sold. 10 days elapsed, and on the 10th day the man he had seen in the dream came to him and bought the property, which consisted of 10 acres and a home. The man paid him exactly the amount he asked for, which also coincided with his dream. The cosmic mind knew where the buyer was and revealed the answer to him in a dream, which was subsequently confirmed. The ways of your deeper mind are past finding out. The Bible said, "I, the Lord," or your subconscious mind or the law, "will make myself known in a vision and will speak unto man in a dream." Numbers 12:6. How a businesswoman triumphed over obstacles. A businesswoman with whom I talked complained that her health, business, and home conditions were very bad and practically beyond her control. I explained to her that, on the contrary, she must definitely and positively assume responsibility for her well-being, happiness, and all conditions of her life. In her conversation she said, "The first 2 years in business I was a great success. Everything went fine and I prospered. Now everything is upside down." I asked her a simple question: "Do you take the responsibility for the 2 years of success?" She said, "Of course I do. I worked hard and diligently, and I gave my best to the customers." I said, "Your answer is correct, but you just can't take credit and appropriation for your success in business you said was due to your efforts and mental acumen, and then refuse to assume responsibility for your failure, ill health, and discordant home conditions. This is a contradiction which is illogical, unreasonable, and unscientific." She immediately perceived the wisdom of this explanation. Suddenly she began to realize that she had the privilege to use the cosmic power to live a successful, happy, and prosperous life, and it was her responsibility to use the power rightly, not only for success and prosperity, but also for her well-being and joyous living. This woman has been deceived and swindled in a real estate deal, and consequently was extremely resentful and bitter. This mood of lack and hostility lurked in her subconscious mind, and it became a festering psychic wound which brought on her depression, nervousness, and financial distress. She accepted the challenge of life and forgave the man who had swindled her, who, incidentally, had absconded with her money and gone off to South America. Her simple prayer was, I bless him, I forgive myself, and I mean to forget it. And it worked. She had discovered that cosmic power which enabled her to overcome her resentment and all her ills. The cosmic power responded according to her conviction and belief. The daily prayer I gave her was as follows. As I think wisely, judiciously, constructively, and harmoniously, I shall not reap a crop of confusion, lack, sickness, or misery. I steadfastly think of increase in my business, of joyous good health, and of vitality, abundance, and expansion along all lines. I know that these seeds fall on good ground, or my receptive mind, and they yield an abundant harvest. I constantly sow seeds of forgiveness, release, and goodwill to all, and I know the cosmic power responds by delivering to me better conditions, larger experiences, and better situations. I maintain harmony and peace of mind. She nourished these thoughts daily, and at the end of 3 weeks, there were a renewal and an expansion along all lines. Her business began to prosper. New friends came into her life. She had buoyant health, and she became cheerful and optimistic. This woman had discovered the joy of living, of overcoming, and the buoyancy and resiliency caused by the flow of the cosmic power through her. The answer that saved the suicide. Last year, the manager of a downtown hotel phoned me, and in a rather excited tone of voice he said, "There is a guest in a hotel who wants to commit suicide. He won't get out of bed. He won't eat, and he mumbles to the bellboys, 'I'm going to kill myself. Call Dr. Murphy.'" I visited the man and said to him, "You can't solve a problem by killing yourself or by jumping out the window. You can solve your problem right where you are, because you personally are greater than any problem." I did not plead with him. Instead, I taught him something about himself, because from experience I have learned that often the explanation is the cure. I pointed out to him that the act of trying to escape a problem is like running away from Los Angeles to San Francisco. You take your mind with you, and the only place your problem exists is in your mind. I also dwelt on the fact that man is not just his body, but that man can actually move outside his body. He can look upon his body from outside, and also can be seen at a distance from others. I mentioned that these truths about man have been known for thousands of years, that there is no death, only life, that his body is an instrument to express mind and spirit, and they will have bodies continuously to infinity. I described the experiments and research done of the famous Dr. Hornell Hart, former associate of Dr. J.B. Ryan at Duke University, who had investigated numerous cases of men and their experiences outside their body. I told him frankly that he would meet the same problems outside the body he now had, as he is immediately put on another body much more rarefied and attenuated and called the fourth dimensional body. He would remain confused, frustrated, and perplexed in his new body, which would conform to his confused thoughts and imagery. This man became intensely interested and absorbed in my description of experiments in India and United States on man living outside the body. He asked several questions and finally began to see that what he really wanted was a solution. His suicidal complex was caused by an intense desire for freedom and peace of mind. His urge to commit suicide was a sincere desire for a greater expansion of life. He soon realized, though, that he could not really destroy life, mind or spirit. I explained to him that man is mind, and evermore he takes the tool of thought, and choosing what he wills brings forth 1,000 joys or 1,000 ills. This man's death desire was a desire for greater measure of life, for there is no actual extinction of life. The suicidal urge in this man, as I further explained to him, was a desire to destroy and abolish the obstacle or impediment, or in the case of acute mental pain and anguish, the body. The so-called insoluble problem which he had was not uncommon. His wife had deserted him and run off with another man. Where she went he did not know. They had had a joint bank account. She took all the money, stocks and bonds included. His store was burned to the ground and his insurance had lapsed. Then he turned to drink, sank in the throes of despair and despondency, and wanted to end it all. He finally decided, however, to stand up to his problems like a man, realizing that he was born to win, to conquer, and to triumph over all obstacles. I took him out to dinner and talked to him about men who had lost everything, and yet who had triumphed over disaster. He took on a new lease of life, and his constant prayer was, "I can do all things through the cosmic power which strengthens me." God's love fills my mind and heart, and God reveals to me the answer and the life abundant. The next day he went to work in a chemical plant and vowed to himself, I will rise and overcome through the power of God, and he did. He obtained a divorce, and he eventually married an immensely wealthy woman. They are deeply in love with each other. All his losses were wiped out overnight. As a wedding gift, she bought him a new store with all the necessary equipment. He said to me, your explanation of man living outside of his body had saved my life. This man's inner realization of the cosmic power, which is the very life of him, enabled him to see that he is immortal. This is why the Bible said, this is life eternal, to know thee, the one true God. John 17:3. How he found a way out of the wilderness in Vietnam. Recently I lectured at a banquet, and a young officer who had recently returned from Vietnam sat next to me. He told me that he had to bail out of his plane as it caught on fire, and he fought himself in the jungle. Darkness was just setting in, and he was hopelessly lost. He said that he was seized with panic for a few minutes, and he said to himself, the night is here, and the dawn follows the night. I am going to find a resting place and sleep, and know that the Lord is my shepherd. He remarked, when I did that, all fear went away, and I knew I would be safe. This Air Force officer had assured himself that the darkness breaks into flame and light. Fear was a darkness, and faith in God, who would take care of him, was the flame of light. The next morning he was rescued by friendly Vietnamese farmers who had come his way hunting for game. This man had overcome his fear, and the cosmic power had responded to his prayers of faith. According to your faith is done unto you. Matthew 9:29. How an executive overcame pressure and excess tension. Sometime in San Francisco, where I gave a series of lectures on your infinite power to be rich, I interviewed a businessman at the San Francisco Hotel, where I was staying. During our conversation, he said to me, I'm very worried and terribly tense. The pressure is terrific. It's a rat race today. I'm losing my grip and giving way under it. I asked him this question. Do you think that fear, pressure, and anxiety and worry are independent of your mind? Or are they entities that walk about ready to attack you and give you nervous prostration? He replied, no, I know that disease, fear, and worry are not independent of my mind. I don't suppose you've ever read the Bible, do you? I asked. Indeed I do, he said boldly. I read passages every night before I retire. Well, I said, I'm going to give you one of the most wonderful and beautiful healing passages in the entire Bible from the book of Job. Acquaint now thyself with them, and be at peace. Thereby good shall come unto thee. I continued, I know that you read the Bible, but obviously your mind is engrossed in the pressure and strains of your business difficulties. Now you must deflect your mind from the problems and vexations of the day and acquaint yourself with the cosmic power within you, which is universal, and which is the power that created all things in the universe. As you recognize and accept this supreme power and wisdom and begin to call on it, it will answer you and give you victory and triumph over all your anxieties and perplexities. Don't give power to the vexations, troubles, and trials of the day. Never give them power over you. Rise above them. You can go to the cosmic power within you and gather more strength and be replenished with wisdom, which will enable you to withstand the tribulations and contentions of the day and experience some good in all problems. Furthermore, you will grow tall in confidence and poise. From now on, keep your mind on God's wisdom and power. You will have peace of mind and will be more effective in all phases of activity. Practice the repetition 1,000 times a day if necessary of this passage. Acquaint now thyself with him, and be at peace. Thereby good shall come unto thee. Get your mind away from your troubles and focus your attention on the cosmic healing power within. He thanked me and I said, I will try your spiritual medicine. A month passed by and I received a telephone call from him in which he said that he had used the passage from Job over and over again. He said that every time he was about to fly off the handle, instead of fretting, fussing, fuming, and fulminating, he affirmed the passage from Job. Now he has peace of mind and control over his emotions, and he is no longer victimized by strain and pressure. Summary of the chapter. There is great joy and satisfaction in overcoming obstacles and difficulties. Furthermore, this is the way in which we sharpen our mental and spiritual tools, enabling us to discover the divinity within. When you wish to sell something, you must not dwell on all the obstacles. Rather, you must agree in your own mind that it is sold to the right buyer in divine cosmic order. What you are seeking is seeking you, and the law of attraction will cause the right buyer to purchase it. If you take the responsibility for success in your business or profession due to zeal, enthusiasm, and diligent application of your part, you cannot at the same time refuse to take responsibility for your failures, sickness, or discordant conditions. You have the freedom to use the cosmic power for success or failure, health, sickness, peace, or pain. A man who has a suicidal urge or complex is looking for an answer, freedom from his distressing problems or acute mental anguish. He cannot escape his problem because it is in his mind, and he is mind and not just a body. If he destroys his body, he merely dons another and still remains confused and perplexed. Inform him that he lives outside his physical body, and when he leaves his body or destroys it, he puts on a rarefied and attenuated fourth-dimensional body. The cosmic intelligence can solve his problem and set him free. When he calls on it, he gets the answer. Man is immortal. He lives forever, and there is no death. He meets his problems here, and he solves them through the power of God. The dawn follows the darkness of the night. The light of God will illumine the darkness of the mind, which is due to fear, panic, or a sense of hopelessness. When lost in the mental jungle, sit still, relax the mind and body, and know that there is a cosmic intelligence who will watch over you, protect you, and lead you to safety.